we proceed into Genesis chapter 13, where it says, "So Abraham left Egypt and travelled north into the Negev, along with his wife and Lot and all that he owned. Abram was very rich in livestock, silver and gold." So now we see that Abram comes out of Egypt, rich in livestock, silver and gold. But there was one problem. There was now snakes in the money bags, figuratively speaking, and we'll see them crop up soon. Let's continue now with verse 3. From the Negev, they continued travelling by stages towards Bethel, and they pitched their tents between Bethel and Ai, where they had camped before. This was the same place where Abram had built the altar, and there he worshipped the Lord again. So this was the place where Abram had already built an altar and had previously pitched his tent in Genesis 12 verses 4 through 9 before fleeing to Egypt. Now he was back inside God's will for his life. But then there rose up strife, quarreling and division between the herdsmen of Lot and the herdsmen of Abram, because they'd both grown so large and had prospered so greatly that the land could no longer contain and support both of them. So the decision had to be made to part ways. So we can now see that the snakes are starting to come out of the money bags, because at this point in time, the blessings they receive from Pharaoh are causing more problems than they are security and comfort. But here is where we do see further promises of inheritance from the Lord as Abraham does what is right. When separating with Lot, Abram gave Lot the choice of the land. He essentially said, if you go right, I'll go left, and if you go left, I'll go right. Abraham is displaying love and humility by putting others above himself, and this pleases God. Lot chose the well-watered land of Sodom and Gomorrah, because at that time it was so beautiful it actually resembled the Garden of Eden. Lot gets what seems to be the choice land, and it looks as though Abram has drawn the short straw. But the Lord didn't think so, because looks can be deceiving, and we see in verse 13 of chapter 13 that the people of this area were extremely wicked and constantly sinned against the Lord. So after Lot's gone and all the strife with him, the Lord actually builds upon his previous promise to give the land to Canaan and his offspring. And God now starts to define its boundaries. God will give Abram the land he can see in every direction, as well as making his descendants as numerous as the granules of dust upon the earth. So he orders Abraham as a faith response to traverse its length and its breadth, so that everywhere his feet tread would become his inheritance, according to Deuteronomy chapter 11 verse 24. Notice how when Abraham did what was wicked in the sight of the Lord in Egypt, how God didn't speak any additional blessings or promises over him. That's how we can tell that God was not pleased with Abraham's decision to leave the land of Canaan or his treatment of his wife and Pharaoh down in Egypt. It's only when Abraham is living in obedience that God seems to respond. This lines up with the words spoken by Jesus when he said, "Anyone who loves me will obey my teaching. My Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him." The Father and the Son will only hang around with people who are obeying their decrees. Jesus' teaching is the makeup of all his commandments found in the law of Christ, which he referred to in John 15 verse 10. A verse we briefly examined in the previous video. He said, "If you obey my commandments, you will remain in my love, just as I obey my Father's commandments and remain in his love." Now, Abram didn't know it yet, but Lot's carnal decision to station himself in Sodom had set the stage for a chain of events that would set Abraham on a collision course with both the king of Sodom and the priest of God Most High.